Al Bernstein says Errol Spence isn't fighting Keith Thurman, and Terence Crawford versus David Avanesyan will flop. Alright, y'all, let's talk about it. So Al Bernstein says he doesn't feel like Errol Spence is keen on fighting Keith Thurman anytime soon. And he gave a bunch of different reasons why this may be. A few of them, I feel like they're kind of like reaching. He's just kind of like reaching for an answer to why he's not going to fight Keith Thurman. But I think everybody already knows pretty much why he isn't going to fight Keith Thurman. But Al Bernstein feels that Keith Thurman is a bad matchup for Errol Spence stylistically. That maybe he has too much power, maybe he has too much speed, maybe he hasn't lost what people thought he lost after the Pacquiao beatdown. Now, me personally, I don't think it's even that deep. I don't think Errol Spence is really worried about fighting Keith Thurman as far as like taking some damage or Keith Thurman being a better fighter at this point in his career than people think he is. I don't think it's none of that. I think it's simply payback. It's payback time. You know, a lot of people feel like it'll never come back around to them. They do something to somebody and they feel like, well, as long as I never see this person again, I don't have to worry about them. Or they feel like, well, in his case, Keith Thurman's case, he felt like he'd never lose that title. It's funny because people keep telling me that Errol Spence would beat the living breaks off of Manny Pacquiao. And I'm like, what are y'all basing that off of? Well, it's the Ugas fight. Look what Spence did to Ugas. And I keep telling people, you can't compare one fight to another fight. It just doesn't work like that. And if Errol Spence would have fought Ordanius Ugas on a 10-day notice, it would have been a completely different fight. If he fights Terence Crawford on a 10-day notice, I would expect Terence Crawford to win that fight. But if you use that logic, like, okay, based off the last fight, you have a high probability of losing, well then, a lot of people feel like Errol Spence is afraid of Keith Thurman. A lot of people feel like Keith Thurman has better skill sets than Errol Spence. A lot of people think because of Keith Thurman's size and power, he would give Errol Spence problems. Well, Manny Pacquiao beat the crap out of Keith Thurman. So by that logic, if Pacquiao beats Thurman, which he did, and people feel like Thurman beats Spence, don't that mean that Manny Pacquiao would beat Errol Spence Jr. by your own logic? This is why I tell people don't leverage silly, ignorant arguments, you know, because it takes nothing to take those arguments and flip them on their head with an adverse scenario or a different scenario. In no way in my mind do I feel like you can compare one fight to another fight and say, well, because this person won this fight, that they would win this fight. It just doesn't work like that. You actually have to get into the ring and work it out. You know, that's how it works. It's not a, well, I feel this or I think this type of situation, type of scenario, because if that was the case, Manny Pacquiao should have gotten knocked out by Keith Thurman. And it was the complete opposite. Keith Thurman got floored in the first round. Keith Thurman got beat up for 12 rounds. And that was the biggest welterweight in the sport at the time. So, you know, I think it's funny that that's people's logic when it comes to boxing. And to me as a fan, it's kind of sad because I see where the sport's going. It's not going to get better. It's going to get a lot worse. And for fans like me, the sport is never going to go back to the version it used to be. And it's unfortunate because as a fan, I'm never going to get what I want out of the sport ever again. It's sad. As a boxing commentator, I'm never going to reach that upper echelon because I don't do it the way that people want it done nowadays. It's all drama. It's pretty much fake. You got to buy into everybody's hype. And you got to use nonsensical arguments to prove your point. And that's just not me. I'm a logical person. I do things off of logic, intelligence, planning, knowing what the F I'm talking about. Otherwise, I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to be involved with it. And I don't play politics and I don't play games with people. So for me, I just feel like the sport will never go in a direction I want it to go, and boxing talk will never be what I want it to be. I'm happy with the stage I'm at. I don't need to be on blue blood status or fan. I don't really care about getting that big. You know, as long as I can put out good information to the people who are knowledgeable and that are listening because they're knowledgeable, I'm okay with that. I don't need 1 million subs, and I don't need a bunch of yes men trying to surround me. It's just not my style, man, and it'll never be my style. And as far as David Avanesyan, Terence Crawford goes, you know, eventually Terence Crawford, Errol Spence has to happen. It has to. Either that or both of these guys will get ridiculed. Their careers will never be the same again. One of them will end up moving up in weight and perhaps salvaging their career. But I think at the end of the day, if they never fight each other, if it ends up in a Maypac type of situation where we got to wait 2-3 more years, both of these guys is going to end up taking a hit. As far as the David Avanesyan fight and Terence Crawford, I think Terence Crawford is already taking a big enough hit. But it's funny because I don't think he cares. I honestly don't think he cares. Because of the state of boxing and because you can kind of just talk your way into being famous now. You can just kind of BS your way into being famous and people will believe you. You know, you don't actually have to take the best fights or beat the best fighters or actually even be talented anymore. You don't even got to be talented anymore. You just got to have people to like you. You know, the world is full of yes men now and butt kissers. And I refuse to do anything for a butt kissing or a yes man. And unfortunately for the sport, I think Terence Crawford's fan base is just a bunch of yes men and butt kissers, and that they will follow him no matter what he does. He could fight me tomorrow and wind up making $10 million, making $10 million off that fight just because his fan base is that, I don't want to call him stupid, but his fan base is that stupid. Boxing fans are lost at this point, man, and the sport is lost, and I don't think it's ever going to find its route back home, man. Let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Will Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence Jr.? I doubt it. And will David Avanesyan versus Terence Crawford be a super flop? Holla at me on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. You're more than likely to get a response on the tube, so holla at me over there. And we are live.
And I'm on the go, blowing them trees when I'm on the road. DJ spin it and they on the flow, but it seems these motherfuckers still don't know. I'ma call this freestyle my cash flow. Tighter than a belt on the last hoe. Kidel Castro. Whenever the females ask for the lasso, send them to the nigga that sag low. I brag so motherfuckers know about mine. Breathe smoke when I'm spitting like it's cold outside. Niggas stressed out cause his baby mama is with me. With another chick they acting like Madonna and Britney. See I'm a legit G, so I'ma eventually have both of my palms on a city. Now y'all get pissy when I stop it like blocking your kidney. Leonardo da Vinci at the top of the century. Flow so artistic. Y'all niggas been the same for years like Bart Simpson. So you can't politely bite me. Now who you know is nice is Mike T. Precisely. And I'm on the go.